And we are live. Another episode of the Soto and Chad Show. Thank you all for joining us or listening on YouTube, whichever you're doing at this moment. I'm Chad. Obviously, with me as always is Soto.
Hey everyone.
And it's been a couple weeks. Real life has taken its toll on both of us, but we are back.
Uh-huh.
And in our last podcast, we said we were going to do the bad movies that we love, and that is still our next one. But what happened in between is we became affiliate, which was one of our goals, probably our only real goal at the moment. We're like, let's just get to affiliate. So we wanted to celebrate by doing a Q&A, with some of the fans, supporters, friends, whatever, who gave us some questions. But damn, man. First of all, before we get into the questions, I know I was affiliate on my old channel, but how did it feel when I told you we made affiliate? What were you thinking at that time?
It was pretty awesome. I'm still brand new to this kind of whole Twitch thing. I think that I used to get into it just to stream, but when I got when I got the little picture of everybody celebrating and everything like that, it was fucking awesome. It was great.
It was, and it is a good feeling because it's basically an accomplishment. I mean, I know it's a
Hmm.
simple, like you said, it's a simple one. I say simple, not everyone has it, so I'm sorry, but it's something that's attainable.
Yeah.
So I just put a little work and stuff like that. So no, it was definitely great. But little
Yeah. All we had to do was play video games. That's all we had to do.
I know,
It's
and
really
that's
the
the best
easiest
part.
thing.
Something that we love, just play games. So
Yeah,
before
just
we
show
get
people instead, right? It's like, oh, like I suck at this game, and because we've been streaming, we've been playing games since my God, it's like go back to like, I think we were talking about like Army of Two, and then like originally the Resident Evil 5 way back in
five,
the day. I was,
those are
yeah, I
the
was playing
first
it on
two.
the.
Yeah,
We didn't
it's
even
been.
have a microphone or anything like that. We had to just kind of communicate with each other in sign language in the game, and here we are over 10 years later, and it's like we're streaming our bullshit to anybody who wants to take a look at it. I think that's kind of funny.
But before we get into the questions, a real quick history. Me and Soto, we actually met working at Blockbuster together.
We sure
And,
did.
we looked at each other like, oh, yeah, we both like movies. Great. And they're like, hey, you're a gamer? Dude, I'm a gamer too. And then it's like, wait, you like to drink beer? I like to drink beer. Let's just go out and have a beer. And, I think you remember the first time we actually went out to have a drink, and, good time. I
Yes.
think a lot of honesty. And I think that's why we become, like I said, 15, 16. We forget the date that we actually kind of became friends when the time
I
has
still
passed us
don't
by.
remember. Yeah, I still don't remember, and I've drank way too much and done other mind-altering chemicals to be even remembering where that was. But I do remember that you did not have a beer, sir. I very remember clearly that you had what is known as, I believe, like some sort of crazy-ass Long Island iced tea.
Long Island Ice,
Um,
those are my drinks back in the day.
you had like one or two, and
Just two?
that it was a wrap after that. So, but that was, I mean, I think that's got tequila, rum, gin. It's got all the alcohols mixed in one. So really, our friendship started over
Over drinks
ultimate
and yeah.
an ultimate Long Island iced tea.
Yeah, I remember doing 3 or 4 of those in Scorpion Bowls. But anyhow, we are sidetracking.
Oh
So,
God, much later.
all right. So, question one actually is just kind of popped on the screen. You're going to see all the questions we're going to answer throughout this, kind of scroll through.
Mm-hmm.
Emma has kind of a two-parter, but the first one, good place to start. How did you both come around to team up with each other and why? And then the follow-up was also, has it went as expected or better than expected?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll kind of start this out, as many people may or may not know. I had a channel, Crazy Chad Gaming, and I started YouTube mainly just to upload clips, like for me, stupid and silly clips. And then I
Mm-hmm.
met some people, and it kind of made more of the videos and shit like that. Got a few hundred subscribers on YouTube. And then it was tough because I kind of missed playing games. At the time, I was kind of just making videos, so I kind of left YouTube. I tried out streaming again; it was
Yeah.
fun, but I always come back to it. Kind of got I just wasn't loving it. And, playing games should be, something you love. By the way, Chronic,
Mm-hmm.
thank you for the follow. Greatly appreciate it. It's been a while.
Absolutely. Thank
Um,
you.
but anyhow, so I kind of want to be, I like doing that. I like the interaction with people. I like streaming. And like you
Hmm.
kind of mentioned, you were kind of streaming and dabbling. So I was like, you know what? I always wanted to start a new channel. I wanted to do a channel that wasn't just games, that could have been like movies, music. It's just a
Yeah.
little bit different. But I just didn't have the outlet ready to go for it. And I'm like, you know what? Let's start a channel with my friend.
Hmm.
It's you're doing content, with someone that you know and trust, and been best friends with 15, 16 years, and
Hmm.
then I also looked at it like, hey, two different personalities, and then also like, hey, if I was streaming at night, you're streaming, trying to. It was just I looked at it a few different ways. I'm like,
Yeah.
this should be fun, but also like it's a way to do new content. So I actually pitched the idea to you, and so when I did, what did you think when I said, hey, let's start a channel together? What kind of went through your mind?
I was excited. I was in a place in my life, as you know very well, but for everybody, it's a very much a place of transition, and I was incredibly unhappy with where my life had been in the last, really 10 years, and so I really started focusing on things that I want to do and things that I like doing, and I've always liked gaming and obviously movies and film and everything like that, and so. I really wanted to be part of like a creative outlet, and obviously, I've known you for so long, and that kind of meshed together. So I was really happy. I think that I kind of just followed it. I know we met a few times in person too to talk about it as well, and I think that it's one of those things that you get messages from the universe if you believe in that kind of foo-foo crap, but I kind of do. But it's like you kind of go with the flow that like whatever your intentions are, you kind of go with them, and it's a really long answer to the question, but I was very happy because I felt inside that I was doing something that I wanted to do and give a shit about. And of course, this is not my primary source of income, but to be able to have a creative outlet in some way and have it be video games and movies and have it be with you, it's been really really fun. So I mean, it's something that we already do anyways, as we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But I was very excited to get the opportunity for sure.
And it's funny because I remember one of those little powwow beer drinking dinners or lunches,
Yeah,
where and I
power
think
lunches.
when we were kind of flesh everything out, like,
Yeah.
this and that, and then your question was, and I always love this, like, so what do we stream? And my answer to you, I don't remember this, is whatever the fuck we want. And you're like, I'm down.
Yes.
Like, I think you're like, wait, that's right. We can do whatever the fuck we want. This is our channel. And you're like, I'm sold. Bitch, I'm
Yeah,
in.
and you still keep saying that too. Whenever I'm like, should I stream this? And you're like, yes, whatever you feel like streaming. And I think that, moving forward, I wanna, I wanna do that more rather than less. I think that sometimes, I play certain games. I don't know if you kind of feel this way too, where it's like you're kind of like, is this something I want to stream or is this something that I want to? But I do want to get more involved and have people be part of my gaming story if they want to be. Um, because again, there's a lot of funny shit that happens to me. For example, Elden Ring, that's going on right now, and I'm going to be making sure I clip more videos of that, like I did previously when I beat Margit, because I think that shit is kind of fun, and I think that we can all kind of agree that that's a really cool avenue to go through. So,
All right, before we go on, hey, Indie Jojo Go Go, thank you for the sub. We appreciate every sub. Thank you so very much.
yes,
So
just
part
like,
two to that follow up, has it gone as expected or better than expected?
mm,
And the fact that we made affiliate, I guess that was better than expect. I don't know. I don't really know what we expected. I was like you. I just wanted to have some fun. So this has just been a blast. Like you, I feel like I should stream more. Sometimes I'm just on the couch, like,
yeah,
yeah, whatever, But every now and then, just pop it in. If someone pops in and watches me play fucking Rocket League, they watch me play Rocket League, Kingdom Hearts, whatever. Like you said, Elden Ring. So, what about
yeah.
you? Do you think? I mean, I don't know what your expectations was, but how do you feel? How do you feel that all this is going so far?
It's been a blast. I think I have more fun. I think when we do co-op. I think that when I do solo, I still think I kind of need to work on my solo a little bit. Um, as far as streaming, I think sometimes I get kind of quiet, but co-op has been fun from even when you're talking and doing the side by sides of Resident Evil Village. Even though I'm a big scaredy cat, I think that that's probably been the most fun part of the collaboration is when we, do something like oh gosh, Dead by Daylight last night for 3 hours, right? Or if we work
Dying
with
Light. You
Viola
said Dead by
Madness.
Daylight, but Dying Light. Get it? You
Oh my
misspoke.
God.
Don't tell my
Oh
wife.
my God. Yeah, Jill's gonna be like, oh my God, one of us, one of us.
Yes, we were playing
TBD.
Dying
Oh
Light.
my God.
All
Yes,
right.
Dying Light. Holy shit.
Before the
God
next
damn it,
question,
Jill.
I want to say hi to Soto's mom too. I see that in the chat. Hi, Soto's mom. Uh, All right. Question
Hello,
two.
Mom.
Question two is from Clenching Duke, and this is a pretty straightforward answer that a lot of people get. I'm going to let you answer first.
Oh,
What is your favorite game and why?
God Almighty. I feel this is a loaded question, right? It's like asking you what your favorite movie is.
Hmm.
And before I answer, I mean, do you have like a favorite movie? You don't have to tell it to me right now. I'm not gonna put you on the spot, but that's like
I always have
that's a
I always
large
have a top
question.
five, and the top three always kind of interchange. But yes, I always use the top five thing. But it's hard to say favorite movie. But yes, I understand the complication.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I have a few different like game kind of families that I like, and I'll kind of touch on them briefly. But of course, we've spoken before, Um, Final Fantasy VII was my favorite game back then. I wouldn't necessarily say it's my favorite game right now. Right now all I've got is FromSoft on my mind because I'm playing Elden Ring, uh, and I've always been a big fan of that. But Yakuza is certainly up there. Assassin's Creed, early Assassin's Creed, the series. I think the last, well, Valhalla, I kind of fell off on it for me. That was just 150 hours of just nonsense. But the general idea of Assassin's Creed, and then Mass Effect are really like my kind of pantheon of games that I consider to be like my favorites right now. So put a gun to my head, which one's my favorite? It's very tough for me to say. Um, I mean, shit, I've played 7 Yakuza games, and I've enjoyed it. I'll talk about that more later with Yakuza, but yeah, I'd have to say that's kind of where I'm at right now with that. So I apologize, it's really like a non-answer, but that's how I feel.
No, I kind of agree because, like you, I'm huge in the Final Fantasy series, and to me, Final Fantasy VIII was always my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm huge in the Resident Evil. I played every one of those, so
Oh
it's tough.
God,
I
I
think it's
hate
the
those
series because
games.
it keeps bringing me back. Then I look at it and I look at what game have I put the most time in, and that would be Rocket League. I'm like, is that really my favorite game? I've put over I don't know 500, 600 plus hours in it because it's my in
Yeah,
between story games. But
yeah,
I love playing it, so the definition of favorite game could change too. Because yes, I play that game more than any other game combined, even if you count all the
yeah.
hours of Final Fantasy VII or VIII.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, so to me personally, I always kind of go Final Fantasy VIII because I feel like Final Fantasy is my favorite series, but the original Resident Evil 2 is my favorite. So I'm
Hmm.
gonna kind of cop out on this too, but use more of the series. Resident Evil, Final Fantasy are there. Uncharted, I've loved that complete series myself, as well. Great storytelling, but to
Still
pick
haven't
a
finished
favorite.
it. Just gamer confession right there, but go ahead.
You should just well, you got a lot in your backlog, so
Oh,
but yeah,
don't
so
we
to
all?
me, I think if I had to pick one, I always kind of go Final Fantasy VIII because I think Final Fantasy series is my favorite. But
Hmm.
I've enjoyed so many games; it's tough. So it's usually like a top five, and they interchange. So
Yeah, I don't. There's not like I mean, like some people play Dead by Daylight for as long as they do, and I can seriously say if that person told me that was their favorite game, it would make perfect sense, right?
yep,
I
yep.
think you have
Well,
to be 10,000 hours to become a master at something. So if I was halfway there, I'd be like, that's my favorite game. Whether
yeah,
that's
she's over halfway there. Trust me.
whether that's Dead by Daylight or Joust or anything else that your heart desires. To me, I rarely play games over and over again. Um, with the exception recently, I played Skyrim randomly for like 100 hours in December. But that was because it was updated on the next gen system and it had 60 frames per second. And it gave me a reason to go back, but um, not to belabor the point, but yeah, it really goes from wherever. Like right now, my favorite game is Elden Ring, and I can't even think of any other games that I've ever played because it's on my mind when I go to sleep. It's on my mind when I wake up, and it's like it's my heart is racing when I'm fucking playing it, and it's crazy. So
All right, so question three, and we kind of touched a little bit about it, but it was from
mm.
Pixie. Do you have a
ah,
favorite gaming industry? Like Capcom, Square Enix was the two, and coincidentally, my answer's in there. Both in a way. Like growing up, to me, I would always say Capcom and Konami, but mainly
hmm
Capcom because you had the Mega Man games, the Resident Evil games. But if I look at it now, I would have to probably say Square Enix because of the Final
hmm
Fantasy, the Dragon Quest, the Mana series, Kingdom Hearts, where you talk about replaying games. Like I just started, Kingdom Hearts, the first one. I'm going to go through all the games because I haven't played the side games. Um,
yeah,
but Square Enix, just the type of games they put out, I just love them. So it's tough.
hmm
Naughty Dog, obviously from Last of Us, the Uncharted.
yeah,
I love a lot of their stories. But if I had to pick one, I'm probably obviously going to go with Square Enix because it has the Final Fantasy series. I love the Dragon Quest series. I love a lot of those role playing games. They are really good. They're fun to play. So to me,
Hmm.
that would probably be if I had to choose one. Again, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of companies that make fucking great games, but Square
Hmm.
Enix to me, anytime I see that logo pop up, I'm like, okay, let's see what game's coming out. You know, like a state of play. Like, ooh, let's see how what this
Yeah.
looks like. So that's my answer. What about you?
For me, it's going to be boring, but it's hands down from software. All their games I've played, there's a lot of people that complain about FromSoft games being too difficult. I disagree. I think that it's one of those games where the people will complain about, oh, they don't have the stories, but I've referenced this before in other conversations. But when I first played Bloodborne and I went against Father Gascoigne for the first time, and I knew it was a hard boss, and the game was you first go against Father Gascoigne, and he has everything that you're equipped as a character, except he's playing how you should be playing. And so the FromSoft games, like they will actually teach you how to play their games if you're paying attention. And so it ends up being not just like fighting these bosses with delayed attacks or whatever, it ends up being a game where you're kind of like challenging yourself and what you're capable of as far as being able to not panic under certain circumstances, being able to see what you're looking at, understand patterns, and the feeling of satisfaction for me when I finally beat, a From Software boss that I've been, trying to kill for 40, 50 times over and over again, and when it starts clicking, and when you start feeling yourself getting better, and then you're immediately rewarded for that. I think that that's not anything else that's in any other game um, that I've played so far. There's no other single player experience like it. I'm not saying I don't enjoy single player experiences that have a lot of story, aka like a Drake or something like that, like where or like even Horizon, right? I like Horizon too, but I just think that for me personally as a gamer, it literally makes me understand and feel and track myself getting better at the overall experience. And to me, hands down, what they're doing, from everything from Demon Souls to Dark Souls, everything. I've not played Sekiro. I can't wait to play that after I'm done with Elden Ring. But to me, right now, that's my favorite gaming company. So
Yeah, and surprisingly, I've actually never played a single Souls game, or anything that I can think of from that company. It's just never been
yeah,
my cup of tea. But I get why, it's funny, we talk about just different styles, but yeah, I can
yeah,
see why people love them, or, like to punish themselves, to a certain extent, because all I see on
yeah,
Twitter is just like death, 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 and frustration. But
yes,
you get that
yep,
you beat that boss, after hours and hours and hours. There is that,
yep.
you know, like satisfaction, like I did this. Um,
Yeah, it's fantastic, and it goes back to playing. We talked about Final Fantasy VII before, but finding the Emerald Weapon and back then there was no way to look it up how to do it, so you just kept trial and error, and then finally you beat it, and there's a real sense of satisfaction there that before trophies, you really had to internalize, and I think that From Software kind of recaptures that a little bit. So.
so question number 4, also from
Hmm.
Pixie, she had a second question. Um,
Hmm.
do you have a game that you want to see remade? So I'm going to let you have the floor with this one first. Is there any game that you wanted to see remade?
Yeah, yeah, my From Software answer is Bloodborne, but my real answer is because Bloodborne could really use a remake and it would be fantastic. But to get off the From Software stuff, low key, I really would love to see a remake for Xenogears in some form or another. I know Xenoblade Chronicles, I believe, is kind of like a weird unofficial like thing for it, but um, I really liked Xenogears. It was at a time, I believe it's a FromSoft game, SquareSoft game from back in the day, and it had an awesome story. It had like mechs and everything like that, but it had a really deep story to it. And it was like right at the height of when I was playing RPGs after the whole Final Fantasy VII thing back in high school. And it had some really deep concepts about religion, psychosis, and it was all like on a galactic scale and also with mechs. And I think that if they remade it, which I don't think they ever will, but if they did, I think it would be absolutely fantastic. I would love it.
See, I thought about this and I went to a couple answers. And then
Hmm.
I don't want to see certain ones remade, more or less remastered. Like we've talked about Lunar Silver Star,
Mm.
my first RPGs on the second CD. I don't want to see that remade. I want to see a remastered version or something that I can play on the PlayStation 5. There's
Yeah.
a few other older games from Popful Mail, but I had to think about this. I'm like, I want a remake, and it's something that a fan made one is happening now, and their Capcom fucking skipped over it. For me, it's
Oh
Resident
shit, here we
Evil
go.
Code Veronica.
How did I know?
Because you know what they remade two, which two the remake of two is phenomenal. The original two was always my favorite. The
Yeah.
remake was well done. It was intense. Everything was just great. I have not played the remake of three, mainly because the original three I did not like. I did beat the original three. I just felt like that story in that game was not the best in the series. I've always said it's a one-trick pony. You're shitting your pants as the nemesis is coming around. Don't get me wrong; it's tough at parts, but at the same time, I'm like, I felt like Jill was just thrown into this. Carlos is a side character that I don't remember now. I can't speak on the remake. Eventually, I probably will get around to it. Um, and then they go to talk about remaking Resident Evil 4. And I'm
Hmm.
like, okay,
That
first of
shit was
all,
weird.
Resident Evil 4, I didn't even felt like they needed a remake. I thought, just the control. I get remaking the original PlayStation 1 games. The tank controls,
Yeah.
everything. Just, it was
Right.
horrible. It sucked. And the remakes have done wonders. But Resident Evil 4 was the first one to kind of rectify all that. And it was a great game. And I don't feel like it needs a remake. You can do a remastered
Hmm.
version. But I'm like, wait, why'd you skip over fucking Code Veronica? It is the hardest
Mm.
game in the series. To me, it has the most epic friggin' moment because the whole idea, too, is Claire trying to find Chris. And, Chris
Right.
Redfield and Claire reunite in this game. Yes, because of the way PlayStation 1, there was some cheesy voice acting from, like, Steve, one of the side characters that's on Claire's side. And it was, after replaying this a year ago, I'm like, oh, God, yeah, this acting's really bad. I forget that I know that the original Resident Evil had some bad acting or bad, lines being said, but I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
God, this is cheesy. And I felt like there's so much that they could do with this to be remade. The Ashford twins are creepy as fuck, and I don't know. I just felt like doing a proper remake of Code Veronica, because it came out, I believe, on Dreamcast first, and then it came out towards the end of the PlayStation 2
I think so.
cycle.
Yeah.
So a
Yeah.
lot of people didn't, and people didn't realize this was supposed to be Resident Evil 3. This was actually supposed to be the next one. This was going to be a numbered one, and then it
Oh.
got delayed. Yeah, originally this was going to be the third one, and then they threw Nemesis in, and
Yeah.
people. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I get people love Nemesis. To me, like I said, it's just not the best in the series. I actually enjoyed playing 5 and 6 more than 3, and I think mainly because I was playing with you. It's better co-op than trying to play by yourself.
I was
But
gonna say, when you talk about stories in Resident Evil, and you're saying that the Resident Evil 3 wasn't that great, I'm like, I I do remember playing Resident Evil 6 with you, and what a disaster that story
well, we
is.
don't. Well, yeah, but we didn't know what the fuck is going on. But I know. I said 3 is a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
There's not much. Just you're in a place. You're not safe because Nemesis. Once you find out that Nemesis is crashing through those fucking walls, you're like,
Oh
oh
no.
shit, and that's the whole game is panic.
The
6,
whole
yeah,
game?
but you got ammo. Yeah, the whole game's pretty much panic because once you realize Nemesis can come into like any fucking room, you're like, am I safe? You think
Even a
that.
typewriter room?
I think it comes into one of the typewriter rooms. I could be wrong. Not
No.
all of them, but I think one of the
I don't like that
typewriter
at
rooms.
all.
But to me, 6, yes. Don't get me wrong. The Resident Evil stories in itself are convoluted. They're out there,
Hmm.
but that's what games should be. Just crazy off the wall shit. But we had ammo. Like we were just shooting everything up. We're like, nope. I got my LMGs. Just shotgun snipe. We didn't have
Yeah.
to worry about like we'll find it. We had to get rid of ammo because we had too much ammo. But I digress. But to me, Code Veronica,
Yeah.
after replaying it, was one of the hardest ones, which was great. They were actually friendly with like the ink ribbons. It wasn't like the original ones where you had sparingly, kind of figured out. They were a little bit more
Hmm.
friendly, so you could save a little bit more. But if you did not play your two characters right, you really fucked yourself over. But to me, Code Veronica deserves to be remade, a proper remake. And I know there's a fan remake is actually being worked on, and it looks amazing. It looks just like the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake. But I'm like, come on, Capcom. a lot of people want this. It's a chance to introduce fans to a game that not a lot of people played. Kind of like Resident Evil Zero is another one because it was released on GameCube. A lot of diehard fans did not play it. And to me, it was great. You know, like I remember a lot of the scenes. Even when I went back, I knew I was happy. I'm like, oh god, this got me excited. And I would like to see. To me, that would be a game I think deserves to be remade.
Just my question to you is, why hasn't it been remade? Like, in your opinion, or what's your understanding? Because to me, like, I feel like it's pretty much the next step. Resident Evil 4 is like the Skyrim of Resident Evil. It's come out on literally every fucking system
Yeah.
that there is. Like, it was on GameCube.
That's where it started.
I want to
say. Yeah. No. You are correct, and that's a lot of Sony fans are, because it got released on Nintendo first, so Sony didn't have it. So unless you had a GameCube, you didn't play it. So a lot of people but once the popularity and people realized this is a good game. Yeah, it came out on PS2. Obviously, they re-released it on PS3, I think. In my opinion, and I don't know how true this is, because first 2 and 3 were remade. And so a lot of people, I think, thought Code Veronica would be the next logical step because it was, again, the PlayStation 1 era, PlayStation, the tank controls, everything that sucked about those games, they fixed. And then they went to 4 and shit. And no, there is no rumors. There's no reason. I think they went to 4 mainly because it's one of the best, one of 2 and 4 seem to be, the more popular ones. Like if you ask the majority of people what's your favorite, it's either 2 or 4.
Of course.
And I think they were looking at how well 2 and 3 did remake wise, and they're looking at 4 let's cash in. And I'm like, why not cash in with Code Veronica?
4 was the last really good one, right? I mean, obviously not counting 7 and 8, which as much as I hate those games, I acknowledge that they're both good games, right? And I know I'm at the last level for Resident Evil 8, but as much as I hate Resident Evil 8, I can understand that that's a really well done game. Resident Evil 4 was huge when it came out, and it's been huge ever since. And so I think that for me, it's probably just because it's more marketable. But the fan base also accepts and understands and loves Code Veronica. I've never played Code Veronica because I don't like Resident Evil, but I don't understand why they wouldn't do it. It almost makes me think it's a licensing thing or that they got something going on with it, because it seems like it would be huge if they did it.
I don't know. If they consider it a side story. Like some people consider it main timeline, some people consider it a side one. I'm like,
oh god,
dude, it's
what
got
the
Chris
hell? Are you
Redfield.
serious?
Yeah, I don't know. Capcom's never come out.
Side timelines?
Well, no, how going all right, using Final Fantasy, the main entries, and then you have Dirge Cerberus, some of the other ones which are not part of the main timeline, but kind of I don't know, not side timeline, just not part of the main timeline or main. I don't know. People don't put Code Veronica. They go 1, 2, 3, 4, and kind of just skip over it.
Yeah. Okay.
But I have no clue. But to me, that needs to be remade. Madness comes in with our next question.
Oh, Madness.
And it's a simple one. I don't know if it's a simple one. But he does ask, if you had to live in one game world, which would it be and why?
Oh God!
I guess I was. That's the thing, with a lot of the games. So, the easy answer would just say, I want to live in the Sims game world. I live with my friends. I can build whatever I want. My house, my furniture.
I didn't even think about that.
It's the easy. Yeah. To me, that's the easiest answer because I'm realistic. Yeah. I'm looking at this realistically. What? It's just life. Aren't we living in a Sims world? But there you're just oh, I just want to change the color of the wall. Click. Hey, it's red now. Yay, great. I thought of other ones. No Man's Sky. I would love the exploration. Stuff like that, and just. Yeah. I think that would be really cool. And then Uncharted and Horizon, just the exploring, researching history. I think that would be cool. But then, realistically, I'm yeah, but I'm not getting Indiana Jonesing this shit. Fighting off bad guys.
No.
They would be cool worlds, to live in if I didn't have to deal with all the other side shit, or in Horizon, deal with all the monsters that are trying to eat you, where you're trying to learn about the history of your, the world. So to me, I don't know if there's a real answer. Like I said, No Man's Sky, I just think it would be cool just to explore. But to me, Sims would be the easiest answer, and I am copping out on this one because yes, it is real life. You can do what the fuck you want in Sims. So yes, that's what I'm saying. That's the game world I would live in. What about you? What game world do you think you would live in?
Yes, I'm boring. I probably would say Skyrim, just because I would love to just work at an inn and I want to eat a sweet roll, and I want to eat pretty much all the food that I see, minus the skeever rats. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's got my aesthetic I like. I'm not saying I'm going to be the Dragonborn, or I'm not saying I'm going to be a fucking sorcerer or any shit like that. I would just work at an inn, sit by the fire, drink some mead, drink some ale, have a sweet roll or two. That seems to me to be the most safe thing. Minus the whole dragon attack thing. But that's fine. That's what the Dragonborn does. So I kind of let him or her do it. But yeah, Skyrim would be the easy answer for me. Would I live in the Bloodborne era? Absolutely not. Elden Ring, as I've heard many times on the internet, like these games are pretty much like they're like if the phrase "you walked into the wrong part of the hood" was a reality. That's like literally everything wants to kill you, like in those games. So Skyrim is pretty chill. It's a pretty chill NPCs. And yeah, that's my easy answer. Not a cop out, I feel. Just what I
No,
feel.
it's true because I started thinking, like Final Fantasy, just living in this nice little thing, just the shops. I was trying to think of the towns, and then
The world is dying in that game, man.
well, yeah, well, it depends which world you're in. I mean, yes, in Midgar and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But if you're just in normal, like the towns that just happen to be there, like Golden Saucer, who just, that's like
Oh
Vegas, just
yeah.
like, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna play these, games, just have these drinks, chocobos running around. This seems quiet,
Yeah.
fun. But like I said, it was tough, realistically. I did want to cop out on it, but it's like, Sims to me is just the easy answer. No Man's Sky, I guess, would probably be the best one. Just I think, I would love to see space. I know it's never going to happen in my lifetime, obviously. But I just
Have you
think
played
that
No Man's Sky? Like, is that a game you've played?
no, but I just know. I'm just saying, just knowing, just going wherever you want, exploring. I'm sure shit happens. Don't get me wrong. I just talking to the exploration of it. Just that to me would be cool. No matter
Well, can I
what in
ask
games,
why you
there's
haven't played? Like, why haven't you played No Man's Sky? It's
because I feel
free.
like I would have to put like hundreds and hundreds of hours into it, and I just,
But you would get to go to outer space. And, you want to talk about like a brainless game? It's definitely
I,
No Man's Sky. You know what I mean? If you're like, if you ever want to break from your Rocket League, and by no means am I telling you to take a break from Rocket League, you do you, but No Man's Sky is free. And I played it for a time way, way back in there, and all the updates are free. And, if you like the whole exploration thing and going to planets without the commitment of, say, a story, you just want to experience that, I mean, I'm surprised you haven't. I know you got a lot on your plate. I know you got a
no,
lot on your plate.
I've
But
looked at it, and there's been times I don't know. Maybe one day I will. Maybe
you should.
add it to
You
the
definitely
it's in the
should.
backlog.
You
Um,
should. I think you'll like it. It's not if you're fearing a commitment, you don't have to worry about it. Just get a ship, customize it, turn your brain off, and that's it. That's all you do. That's it.
I
So
like
I don't
turning
know.
my
Let's
brain
turn to
off.
No Man's Sky.
That does make things a lot easier. So
Yeah.
before we get into the next question, I don't even know if Marty's still in the room, but this is a question actually
Marty,
from him. Um, I'm actually going to
it's your
deflect this
kids,
question.
Marty. Sorry.
It's all right. I'm going to deflect this answer to you, and you're going to understand why. We've known,
Oh shit.
again, we're 15, 16, 17, whatever. We're just going to say 16 years. I don't know if I really think about it.
Good
My
lord.
wife, if she was here, when she heard this question, she actually wanted to answer it, but unfortunately she's not Marty.
Oh Jesus.
But here we go.
Oh Jesus.
Why is Chad so annoying? Like, is it just who he is, or is it something else? So, Soto, let's have you answer this question right now.
Oh God. Why is Chad so annoying?
Where do we go from
It's
here?
like let me count the ways, right? Marty. The short and simple answer is just who he is. It's just who he is. I think some things have happened. I think that all that stuff, but it's just who he is, Marty. You just got to accept it, and it's not going to change. So that's my answer to why is Chad so annoying.
Well, if I was so annoying, I mean, and I know it's half a joke. I've known Marty for a few years and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
it's a fun little love-hate relationship. But and I mean, in all seriousness, it's like, you accept the people for, their faults, who they are,
Yes.
I think we were talking about beforehand, we're going to share a quick story. Just because I want to, and I got a little
Hmm.
time here. We talked about how we met, this and that. And I think, again, for us, personally, we both agree, I think we were just asking each other questions, getting to know each other. And when
Yeah.
there's an honesty between two people, like, this guy answered a question correctly. He's not lying to me. He's not bullshitting me. You're like, this guy's cool. you know, so when I think, I don't know where you're at, but, but people don't know is when I first met Soto, he was a vegetarian. Um,
Hmm.
and
I sure was.
what happened when you broke that? Who did you have to call?
So there are times, again, like you say, the reciprocity of sharing, things and all that. And so, I reached a dark time in my vegetarianism where I was just like, I really was at the limit of it, to be quite honest. And I went over to a Cumberland Farms, which is a gas station. I think it's pretty much in New England. I walked in and I said that day, fuck it. I'm gonna eat meat because I don't care. And I think I bought a buffalo chicken wrap. I proceeded to go to the parking lot, get in my car, and then eat the buffalo chicken wrap as if I was having an affair with my fucking wife. And then because the weight of this guilt was so much, I called Chad, and I had to tell Chad. He was the first person I told that I had broke my vegetarianism, like that I had broken a promise to myself that I would never do. I swore Chad to secrecy that I had broken my vegetarianism because I didn't come out the vegetarian closet until much, much later, because I believe that I went to New Jersey shortly after, and I think that during that Thanksgiving I was in New Jersey, which was the worst. I was at my friend's house and I ate meatballs and I really broke my vegetarianism in front of my vegetarian friend as well. So, but the very first time, yeah, like I was balls deep into a buffalo chicken convenience store wrap and then had to call Chad to explain to him. And Chad was very confused, I think, if you remember.
I think I
I think your
laughed at
response
first.
was like, yeah, you were just like, why the fuck are you calling me? Which we'll get into stories about us later on later podcasts about crazy times you've been called for other things as well, randomly. And
I wasn't
we'll
going to
talk
bring that
about.
up. That's a yeah,
No,
yeah, no.
we'll save that for October, around the anniversary of that. So it's a teaser for everybody. But yeah, no, Chad's gotten some weird phone calls from me, and that was definitely the first one because when I first met you, we shared secrets, we shared stuff about each other, and so when you have that currency with somebody and somebody becomes your friend, well, guess what? Now you're having all my dark secrets. At the time, that was my darkest secret that I had. And you know what? I was a born again meatitarian ever since, and fucking happy to do so. But yeah, Chad was the first person I
So,
called.
if there's anything that I did in that was annoying, and I'm saying this, this is not Soda saying this, I'm saying this, is again, I think it's after we met. You might have just come back from Jersey, or before you left for Jersey. I wasn't working with Blockbuster, but a different store, and sometimes
Yeah.
I'd meet up with you, and obviously I wasn't smoking. Cigarettes at that time. I put that in air quotations
Ah.
that no one can see. But I was stressed
Mm-hmm.
out of my life. A lot of things weren't working out. But I would always see him, and it was always borrowing a cigarette. Then I would wash my hands, stuff like that. So yeah, I think every time
Oh
Soda saw
yeah.
every time Soda saw me, he's like, he probably had to count his cigarettes. Like, all right, how many do I have to get this fucker today?
I
Because
remember
yes,
that. Yeah.
I was not at that time smoking. Which after I kind of lived on my own. I became a smoker. Actually, just so everyone knows, it's been 5 years since I've had a cigarette. I've quit. Blah blah blah.
Very nice.
Side story.
Yeah.
But at that time, even I think it became a running gag between us. Like, I think I was working with. No, it couldn't have been with Dylan or maybe Lawrence. I don't know. I would drive up. I would hit his store before I hit home. And if he was working, I'd
Yeah.
stop and like, hey, have a smoke. And like, hey, do you got one? Like, he just knew after a while. Like, I ain't buying
Yeah.
cigarettes because like I'm not a smoker. But yeah, so during those couple years, I think and then I, like I said, try and wash the smell right off of me. Then once I lived my own, I kind of like, hey, I'm a smoker, which I'm not promoting. Please, blah, blah, blah. If you're smoking, hopefully you can quit, you do you, whatever. I'm glad I did, but at that time, yeah, I was so stressed out. It was like I have cigarettes, but I didn't want to buy a pack because then it's like, I have to still
Well,
hide the
I
fact that
think
I'm a
it's
smoker.
I think it's wild that if you talk about the crux of our relationship and everything like that, it's really based on each other holding secrets, knowing
All the
secrets for
shit
the
that
other
we've been
person,
through.
and holding them for each other. Even fast forwarding, the night that like I before obviously she was my wife, I'm drunkenly texting this girl in our, if you remember, our apartment. Like you and I got drunk, and then I drunkenly texted my wife, who was not my wife at the time, and was starting to kick it with her. And I remember going to you being like, oh man, I'm going to go for it, dude. I'm going to go for it. And then she was like, "Excuse me, can you please explain yourself?" Like, and I was like, "Oh shit, I think I fucked up." Even those moments, it's like there's so many but that's how it started. Our first thing, we exchanged secrets, we talked about stuff, and that's how that's really
And
how
I
our
give you
friendship
shit and
started.
about this, and not shit, but like, you never, like, I'm like, if it wasn't for me, you never would have met your wife. Now, before,
100%,
yeah,
100%.
well, you never know. You could have ended up going to Lawrence, and it just would have been down the road. So, if you want to believe in fate, there's always that opportunity that
Way
could have
down the
happened. But
road.
yes, I was like the only person that knew you and your wife before
Yes,
you were you and your wife.
yes,
For those who are
yep,
listening,
yep.
Toto's wife used to work for me at Blockbuster. I knew her before he knew her, and
Yeah, and then she
she
worked
looked at
for
me just
me.
because I was a new manager. I wasn't, her favorite. Whatever. Eventually, I think
Yeah.
we got along. We just both did our jobs. I think there's the respect there. I never in a million years would have thought you would have dated her, mainly because, like, I don't see that shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know when people are interested. You're like, all right, dude, whatever, go for
Yeah,
it. That kind of thing.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's funny when you see, like, a former employee, and now she's my best friend's wife, and it's just like,
Yeah.
it's just amazing how things happen like that. But yes, every now and then I'm like, you're married because of me. Just remember that, fucker.
Yes. Yes. Because of you and a six-pack of Stella Artois that you paid me in because you fucking violated labor laws because you did not want to have me work legally. So I worked for
Yep,
you
for
in
a
that
pack of beer.
store for a pack of Stella Artois beer and met my wife on that night. Well, I didn't meet her. I saw her that night. And then, the rest is history. But yeah, you own that 100%. 100%. And you were there even when I was drunkenly texting her to see if she wanted to kick it as well. So yeah, you've
Yeah.
been there every step of the way, which is wild.
All right, so going back to our next question, and I'm going to give this to you first, and I'll take over because I'm not sure how much you're into these games, but um, a serious question for Marty, or not one that's jokingly wise chat annoying. But Marty asks, which game type do you think will eventually take over Battle Royale, and why?
Well, and I'll obviously I'll defer to you on this. But my initial feeling on this thing is that multiplayer is not going anywhere from a capitalistic standpoint and a business standpoint. It's way more easy for these video game companies to monetize these microtransactions, and it behooves them to have it be in a multiplayer arena. So, I think that the battle royale fits right into that marketing scheme and everything. And when I try to think to myself, what's going to be the next big thing? Okay, well, what are 12 and 13-year-olds going to play on their computers? And on that, it's like, and the answer is not fucking RPGs.
Nope.
Okay, yes, for me, well into my 60s and 70s, I'll probably be playing RPGs, but the multiplayer getting online talking shit aspect, I think it's going to have something to do with that. I can't ever imagine a single player experience overtaking the multiplayer experience, and because the multiplayer experience is, like I said, so financially attractive to these companies, and they don't care what we think, they only care about making money, then I think that's going to be here for a while. What that game type is going to be, I really can't speak to, but again, I think that multiplayer and those kind of large scale multiplayer aspects are, yeah, whether you like it or not, it's going to stay. So,
No, and I agree with you. And I'm going to look at this not as more of a multiplayer, as more of the battle royal part of it all.
hmm
Because to me, and I think there might have been a game or two that came out, but to me, Fortnite really brought the battle royal style gaming, not multiplayer, but just 100 people, to one. Um,
which is
that kind of
multiplayer, right?
it is,
That
but
falls in there.
no, correct. It is multiplayer, but I'm looking for Marty's question as this is how I'm going to answer it, as the battle royale style.
Yeah.
That, like, because there's multiplayer Call of Duty where you just kill, 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 respawn, kill, 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 respawn, kill, 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 respawn.
Yeah.
Whereas
hmm
battle royale, once you die, you're done. Your team will fucking go on. That's why sometimes it sucks playing battle royale, because you're in a squad and you die first. You're like, well, I guess I'll get a drink. I'm going to make some nachos, until they die.
God, like
So
sounds like Fall Guys.
that too. So, I was
Ugh.
trying to think about this, because most battle royales, guns, killing people, and a lot of it is very similar. About 100 people, you got the gas, the circle coming in, kill, last one standing, last duo, trio, whatever your team is. And I was trying to think of something that's different. I would personally would like to first of all see, like, and I don't know how this one can be done, a horror game battle royale. Not, just I don't know if there's like a
Oh my
couple
God. Is
demons
this
stuff
Dead by
like that.
Daylight?
No,
Dead
no,
by
no,
Daylight
no.
what you're
That
talking about?
that's more of a player versus player because that's four players versus one player. I don't consider that battle royale. Multiplayer, more or less. I would love, and I read up on this that one company tried to do a medieval style, like a battle royale where instead of like guns, just a very, you can be a knight, you can be an archer, very medieval style, similar. You just try and kill everyone else. Or even like a samurai, just something where it's more hand-to-hand combat, because
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm not thinking like, 1v1. I'm thinking like, okay, imagine if like three against one, I don't know. I would love to see a different concept. I agree with you. I don't think Battle Royale is going anywhere. It won't go anywhere because it's big in the multiplayer, but I would like to see it kind of a different style of it. A lot of it's, no matter which game you play, from, going back, like I said, Fortnite, Call of Duty, Apex. I know I'm probably missing a few others that, seem to
Mm-hmm.
be popular, but all the
Yeah.
battle royals are the same. Like I said, roughly 100 people, single, duo, trio. Eventually, the circle gets smaller and smaller until there's one, one team,
Mm-hmm.
one person. I don't know what that different style might be. I've always had an idea of a game, which kind of was like a battle royale style, which I created a concept in my head, and I've kind of mixed it with Resident Evil towards the end of it. But basically, I always wanted to see like again, I am going to use the cliche island status, but it's like almost like there's a maze and like think like Resident Evil Mansion. There's
Mm-hmm.
puzzles, there's ways to open rooms, but like three or four people kind of run the island, and 100 people are just trying to survive. One person gets off, but think of it. You
Like
remember the
Battle
movie Survive in
Royale,
the
like the
Game?
movie?
Survive in the Game? No, 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 not Battle Royale. Which the book is a lot better than that movie. But you remember
Really?
Surviving the Game
Yeah,
with
I
like
do.
Ice T? I kind of
Ice tea.
incorporated that.
So
Like,
true.
imagine, but imagine if you had like four bounty hunters. It's just
Mm-hmm.
something who have the guns, who are armored up to, and 100 people who have nothing. I'm not even talking like pistols or anything, and they're just hunting them down. And the 100 people's jobs is basically whatever, get to the center, get wherever the helicopter, whatever means to escape, and so
Yeah.
they need to escape. They can kill the bounty hunters, but it's going to take a lot more. So either they have to, find certain weapons so they can kill each other and kill them. And the only way to be a bounty hunter is like you have to win. So I'm like,
Right.
I've thought of
Oh,
different
okay.
styles. I think it needs to be a different variation. I don't think it needs to be. I don't think battle royale is going anywhere. I just would like to see a little different variety. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I always had the idea of like 100 people. They're just trying to find a way to get off the island, and then four people just come up with like massive, bulletproof vests, AK-47s, and they're just chasing. You can decide if you want to team up with someone. Like you could sell someone out. If you hand to hand break their leg, they're going to get killed. You run away, or do you team up with someone? So there's the trust thing. But if only like four people can get off the island, then they're the four bounty hunters for the next match. So there's incentive. You want to survive,
Ah.
but at the same time, they're going to be few. So I mean, you could be fighting and you're teaming up, and like all of a sudden, like, all right, only one of us gets the last spot, and then whatever happens happens. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Okay.
not like
Yeah.
20 can survive, only four can survive, and if a bounty hunter, if they clean house, they get to be bounty hunter again the next game. Again, it's not like it
Yeah.
fleshes out, but it was just like a thought I had, and I love like I think of like the old school houses, with like mazes and stuff like that, and then you can sell things. It could be the Resident Evil mansion one day. It could be, I don't know. You can kind of create different, houses or mansions each, map or something like that. I don't know. Like I said, I think it needs to be a different variation because
Yeah.
Battle Royale gets old. There's a reason why we don't play it as much. When we play Call of Duty, we like the coming back, you know, you know, um, respawning because, like we said, if you're playing Warzone or old school, battle royale, you die, your teammates will go on, and
Hmm.
and that's fine. You want your team to win, but you're just sitting there, and I've been there. You're watching, and like I said, I'm just like, well, I guess I'll have a drink here. Oh, this is a good time to eat my chicken sandwich. You're just trying to find different ways. Just to pass the
Wow.
time, and that's why it gets boring. After a while, it gets frustrating because if you die early, which depends where you land, it could suck the rest of the game unless you're whole team squad. So, um,
No,
Thank you,
I mean,
Sugar Rain. Yeah, I think I like the idea too. Like I said, then I'm like, I went Resident Evil. I'm like, well, maybe it's like the Umbrella people, and they're trying to contain, and you're the 100 survivors, and then there's zombies. Like I added a Resident Evil factor to this too that I
wow.
didn't even mention, because I'm like, you could bring up two of the worst games, not worst, but selling wise games like Operation Raccoon City, which
Hmm.
like you're them, or like with Outbreak, you each have like set skills. So I've thought about like more of a 4v100 and stuff like that. So like I said, I think battle royals, yes, they will stay because they're profitable. A lot of people play them. I would just like to see different variations. I would like to see a samurai or a medieval, like that kind of style where it's not guns, like you're sword fighting, and then the same idea, ring gets ball. I think there'd be a little bit more skill to that. So
No, I think that's great. I think you bring up a great point. Just to kind of, bookend that is that uh, I think that different concept of the same idea are probably much needed.
yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. We still have more questions to go on. So please stay. If you do have any questions to ask us, please put in chat. We will answer all the questions once we get through all our
Hmm.
Twitter questions.
Yep.
But we're just going to be taking a quick minute here. But yeah, everyone, thank you for joining us so far. This has been kind of
Thank you
fun.
so much. Yeah, absolutely.